The Hacks of Gorm, Part 40, to the Dread Prison of Char. Twitch McCorpsel and the goblins around him looked at the crowd nervously. At their feet was the large sack of wealth that they had acquired. It seemed that the townsfolk were beginning to realize that the zombie public lords' taxing cuts might not benefit them at all. Angry that their own meager wealth had been taken away, many began to yell and push against the new guards remaining in the area, those whom Gorm hadn't decapitated. "We want it back!" yelled one. "You can't!" groaned Aldian. "Taking your wealth will improve overall commerce. All hail the great GDP!" The townsfolk paused for a moment, bewildered by his inane logic. "No public lords!" hissed Nana Lugosi. "Power to the people! We know what's best to do with your wealth. Give it to us. We'll use it to spread equality." She smiled as best she could, but still could not conceal her fangs. The crowd would have none of it. "We want our wealth back. We're not giving it to you or to your goblin minions." Nana Lugosi only sneered back. "You won't give it to our permanent visitors? Then you're amaranthine scum!" In the confusion, Koloff snuck up and tried to stab Gottschalk again, but he spotted him first, ducked, and Gorm grabbed the equalitarian official with his mighty hand. Koloff wailed from the barbarian's resulting beating. With the Demoncrats distracted, McBrain shuffled back on stage. "Maybe it would be better if more of our citizens were goblins." Gronham nodded at that as he heaved his own desiccated form up too. "Yes, goblins know their place. It might be worth it to make some into voters too, rather than just our serfs." Gottschalk couldn't tell who was worse, the Demoncrats or the zombie public lords. One would replace the locals right away, while the latter would impoverish the locals first, then replace them. He retrieved the torn sword from a cultist corpse and decided that it was time to go. He had had enough of Mon Jackson and would leave it to the citizens to take back their wealth from such leaders. Leaders who had failed to put the people they served first. He couldn't understand why the townsfolk hadn't risen up in rebellion sooner. Tamara and the face-eating dog approached then from the other side of the stage. "We couldn't find Ramzus or Larissa, but we do have an idea where they are, and it's not far," she said. Gottschalk frowned. It didn't look like he'd be leaving Mont Jackson after all. The four hunched low on the cold ground. They spied the stockade area in the distance. Though it must have been well past noon, the Mont Jackson gloomy sky kept things dim. "They inside?" asked Gorm. Tamara nodded. The face-eating dog barked. Though the wooden fences of the place were nearly 15 feet tall, it appeared that they were only lightly guarded. It must have been so thanks to the disturbance back in town. Gottschalk grasped the torrent sword and narrowed his eyes. He stood up and marched right for the gate. Gorm, Tamara, and the face-eating dog followed behind cautiously. Who knew how quickly Gottschalk might get himself killed? The gate was guarded only by one woman, which was strange. Stranger still, she didn't have the blue-dyed hair and rainbowed garb of a cultist, but she did have the look and bearing of some sort of schoolhouse tutor. "Hold it right there! Show me your pass!" she challenged. "No," said Gottschalk simply. He pointed the torn sword at her so that there would be no confusion. The woman became visibly startled and brought a heavy crossbow up to bear. "By great Vitae! You must be those amaranthine sympathizers we heard about. How many activists did you kill at official Koloff's inauguration?" Gorm held up his mighty hand to begin counting his fingers, while Gottschalk stared at the weapon she had pointed right at him. There was no way for her to miss at this range, even for a woman. Tamara saw it too and gasped. It was then that the face-eating dog sat down, barked, and raised one of its front paws, appearing almost like it was giving some sort of salute. The woman gasped. "You are amaranthinists!" "Just the dog," said Tamara smartly. She took the crossbow from the mortified woman. Gottschalk hoped that the remaining guards inside were this easy to intimidate. Gorm had just run out of fingers. Next week, The Hacks of Gorm, Part 41.